Hi everyone, it's almost Halloween again. Let's review step by step how to make this cool and maybe scary skull and hematite friendship bracelet. I've made this before with larger skulls and beads, and you can see the difference in appearance that you get with the smaller materials. So to make this bracelet, we're going to use 1mm nylon string. I have all the pieces cut up here, but let's sort through it. You're going to use one piece that measures 18 inches or 46 centimeter. You'll need a piece that is 48 inches or about 122 centimeters. And one piece that is about 10 to 12 inches or about 26 centimeter. Also, for materials, you're going to need, let's separate the skulls. These are small skulls. I'll put on the screen how much they measure. I don't know off the top of my head, but these are small, not much bigger than a 8mm round bead. And these hematite beads are 4mm. So they're pretty small. And I'm going to be using 5 for the bracelet and 2 to complete the ends. And again, that was 4 skulls. Okay, and then as always, we'll be using, I use Super Hold Scotch tape. It provides a lot of peel and stick. And a lighter and my little sharp scissors. So let me organize this and we'll get started. So again, we have these 3 pieces. We're going to start with the 18-inch string, which is basically going to be the center of it. Right at about 4 or 5 inches in, we'll tape it down. Okay. And then what I always like to do, and what's really important, is always that your string will fit into the holes of the beads. But it always helps, especially when you're using this nylon string that basically just melts, to just give it a little heat at the end. Roll it between your fingers so that it becomes pointy and just a little bit hard, so it pushes through easily. Okay, and if you take a look at the bracelet, I knot first, and then the very first bead is going to be a hematite bead, and it just alternates. So I'll start with a hematite bead. Start with a hematite, and then the next is a skull bead. And it doesn't matter which direction you start putting your beads on, but you'll want to continue to do it the same way so that it's nice and uniform. So I'm starting with putting it through the top of the head. So we're going to keep that pattern going. And the last bead should be a hematite. So the pattern is hematite, skull, hematite, skull, hematite, skull, hematite, skull, hematite. Okay. Those 2 are gonna be used at the end. Okay, so I zoomed in a bit so that you can see really close how this gets started. So this is the top where it's taped, and with the long 48-inch string, well, first of all, let's tape down this piece so that it doesn't move while we're weaving. Okay, and then I just bring the ends together so that my starting point is very even on both sides, very symmetrical. And let's just move that up a little bit. Okay. And we're just going to square knot. And I'm going to start with the left. And square knotting is just overlapping like that. And with this one, we'll go under everything and coming out through this loop. Then we move to the right, cross that over, and then with the other string, we go under everything and come out through this loop, pull it again, and just keep repeating. And we'll do this for this bracelet specifically. I'm making it to be, I'm going to make this piece 6 inches. This is going to vary, of course, how long you want it. I'm making it 6 inches. Then that final piece that binds the strings together is going to be about a 1/2 inch. So it'll be about a 6.5 perfect fit. And so in order to accomplish that with this number of beads and with this particular string, I'm going to create, if you take a look at this, it's about 3/4 of an inch. So you just keep going until this piece, this initial piece measures about 3/4 of an inch. And I also just happened to have counted, and it's about 16 times I did that from one side to the other. And now I'll push up that first hematite bead. And then I'll square knot right underneath it. And I'll square knot I believe here I do this about 6 times. Four, 5, 6, and then I'm gonna continue. Then the next thing I'll push up is the skull. Okay, and I'll continue to square knot in between each bead until we get to the final bead. Always repeating the square knots 6 times in between. So I'll count one more time. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next bead is a hematite, and we'll continue to do this till we get to the last bead. Okay, so now we've made it down to the last bead. At this point, we want to make this second end the same as the first end, so about 3/4 of an inch. It measures, and I think we said it was making about, or crossing over 16 times. So 1, 2, and we'll just keep going until it matches the other side. Let's move it up where it can be seen still. Okay, so now we are done with the bracelet. Let's pull back a little bit. All right, so we got to the end. Both ends are pretty symmetrical. We know that because we counted and or maybe measured. You see everything is facing the same way. And these ends need to be taken care of, so we snip them off. And we just melt with the lighter those ends. Just tap it. Okay. So now that's totally finished, and we have to close up the bracelet using that smaller piece that we measured to be about 10 to 12 inches. Okay. And I use tape because it's just so much easier for me to secure this bracelet down exactly the way I want to close it up. Oh goodness. And then I take that small piece and I thread it underneath both of those taped down pieces and just square knot right over this. And like I mentioned before, I'll make this part to be about just under 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. I'll do a little bit more. Okay. And then here, we'll have to do the same thing with these ends that are hanging. Snip it. Melt them carefully. Okay, now that's done. We'll pull it closed on both sides. Okay. But now we have these ends. And in my sample, I close them off with little hematite beads at the end, and I'll do the same for this. First, I snip these to be even, so it makes it easier for me to make it even on both sides and the same. I melt the ends to be pointy, and I use those last two tiny hematite beads. And I'll tie a knot. It can just be a regular knot. I go around twice. 1, 2, and then pull, so it makes a little bit of a bigger knot. And then do the same on this side. I try to make it as symmetrical as possible. Okay. And then I'll cut those close, but not too close, because we'll melt that. Keeps it from unraveling. And now it's done. Okay, you pull it to open it. Put it on. Close it up. And there you go. And you have a nice skull bracelet, skull and hematite bracelet for Halloween or for whenever, because really this is kind of cute and I don't think it needs to wait for Halloween. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.